Hello, all of you who is watching this podcast. I'm Red November, representing Sunday Wars Universalis, in short SWU. We are a Europe Universalis for multiplayer community, and this is our first podcast session. We are going to start our 7th campaign this Saturday on 27th of May, and we want to warm our players for an epic campaign that is about to start. We will start our journey from 1444 and we will finish it by 1821. Each session will approximately last 5 hours. Now that we introduced our community, let me introduce myself and my colleagues. I am the host of the pre-session podcast, and my nickname is Red November. I'll be playing Poland in this campaign, and I'm eager to start playing it. Also, let's get to know our commentators of the session. Sideways, do you want to say anything?
I'll just introduce myself. I'm Sideways. That's about all I need to say.
Okay. Frozen?
Okay. Thanks for having me. I'll be taking the reins of Muscovy this campaign. Very excited to be here. So let's see.
Twin?
Hello everyone, I'm gonna play as Uzbek this session, and I'm also very excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's start underlying what we'll be talking about today and what we will not be talking about. We are not going to talk about the diplomacy of players and their potential allies or enemies for this session, so we are not going to spoil anything in advance. However, we will be discussing player orientation and what we expect from our players. We will start introducing players and their countries from the Iberian region, and slowly we will travel the world so we can introduce new regions and new players. I hope you guys enjoy this session and other sessions which will follow this one. So when we come to Iberia, we have 3 players in the region: Portugal, Castile, and Aragon. And I see Castile, which is sideways right now, already named himself Spain. Should we be worried about sideways? What's gonna happen in Iberia?
Oh, my name Spain. I actually didn't consider any implications of that name. I just named myself Castile. That's all. It could be Castile, it could be Spain, either way, but it has no significant meaning at this point.
Okay. So from looking at this map, I can see Castile will go for Granada, and there will be some conflict for the unification of Iberian Peninsula. What do you guys think? What do you think, Frozen? What will happen?
Well, the Portugal player is kind of an infamous person. He used to be completely trashed here at the game, but he's been learning, so I'm interested to see if he can pull up something interesting this session.
Yeah, I have also high expectations for him. I hope he survives till the very end. And the interesting story about Sideways and Financial is 2 sessions in the 5th campaign, they were sworn enemies. Like, they fought around 6 years, while Sideways was England and Panther was France. It's interesting to see them together again. What do you say, Twin?
I honestly believe that Kreshka did this intentionally, just to see what would happen.
Didn't expect France to be so strong, but this makes it more interesting.
All right.
Yeah, more commentability, more everything.
You guys start pushing through Iberia. Americans go first, and then Prussia reinforce.
Americans are
No, because if we go first, Qing can reinforce the battles.
Yeah, I know.
From
When is it still
Aiden.
alive?
shit!
Okay, war start.
Check Gulf of Aden sideways.
Okay.
How fucking fast is this guy?
Yeah, he just killed like 2 stacks.
Okay, shall we move up on
Iberia.
attacking?
Oh no, he's not stealing. That's Indian.
Attacking,
So
guys.
Prussia!
Russia, dude.
Prussia.
Reinhard!
Okay, I'm
Oh
moving.
fuck hell, we just got like stack wipe to do that.
Triple stack wiped.
I just lost 200k stack wipe.
We got
Yeah.
triple stack wiped.
Ow.
Someone got attacked. I
Okay,
tried to
Red
help
with
them and I just
200K.
died.
This French general.
All right, move back, Leonard. Move back quickly.
Okay, move.
We need the Prussians.
Gold.
Oh my
British
friends.
troops are killing Persian troops in Africa. Yes, the world is right.
What?
Look at West
Why?
Africa. Oh,
Wait, how? You have less morale?
let us go, boys.
Persian troops aren't that good.
But I am also interested to see what happens here, because we did fight a war for like, what, 2-3 sessions about 2 campaigns ago.
Yes. Twin, what do you say?
I mean, obviously there's going to be conflict between Aragon and Castile because they share the same culture group. Last season, I think Aragon won over Castile. Going to be interesting to
Correct.
see
Yes.
if Aragon can repeat that, or if they
And
cooperate.
now, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting session for them. We will see. Like, speaking of Iberia, of course, we should be talking about Italy as well, because Italy will, I believe, play some important role in the conflict or in the general uh, ambition of the game. Because Aragon has Naples, but I believe Naples will seek independence, and now we have lots of players in Italy, starting with Venice, Milan, Genoa, Florence, Papal States, and Naples. It's like a Thunderdome. They have lots of players there, and conflict is inevitable in this region. And I'm sure if a conflict starts in Iberia, it will quickly spread to Italy as well. What do you think, Frozen?
Yeah, I think yeah, Italy is gonna be a bloodbath. I think. I suspect it's gonna be partially occupied by like external powers too. It's not gonna be very pretty. Also, something I forgot to mention about Portugal is that I'm pretty sure he's gonna be asking me for that money I owed him from last time I played Russia, and he gave me like 150 ducats as Khmer, because every time we played, he keeps bringing it up again.
Okay. Do you think you will be able to pay your debt this time?
maybe this time.
Maybe. So sideways, what do you think? What will happen in Italy? What do you say? Iberian politics will affect how they will affect Italian politics.
I'm not sure if Iberian politics will actually affect Italy in a major way. I think it might be the reverse, that Italian politics might affect Iberia, because there's Aragon, who has Naples, and just other islands in Italy. And depending on what happens with Castile and Aragon, even after whatever happens with Castile and Aragon, conflicts from Italy could also spill over into Iberia. And actually, what I'm really interested to see is if we'll have a unified Italy, or if two nations in Italy will share power, or what will happen. In fact, someone in Italy I'm really, really curious to see play is Dino, because for the past few campaigns, one, he played Ottomans, played tall, which was unusual. Another one, he played Switzerland with about 8 provinces and devved them all to 50, which was interesting. So I'm curious to see what happens with Naples.
Yeah, we will see a very, very unified and like maybe how do you say, maybe Renaissance will start in Naples this time because Dino will be developing it. Also, we have a star player playing there as well. The winner of the last campaign, Toon, who was playing Sweden, will be playing Florence.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm expecting to see, what he will do this time. Yeah, what do you say, Toon?
I actually don't know who will come out on top here, because a lot of these players, I'm familiar with them from previous campaigns, but the Diplo really, really, really have an impact on what happens down here.
Yes. Twin, you're on you.
I think it's going to be really interesting what Venice decides to do. If he's going to side with the Ottomans or with Austria. I think that will affect Italy a lot as well.
Yeah, when I was playing Ottomans in the 5th campaign, when Austria was sideways, I was Ottomans, and we both sided with Venice, and that played like a huge role in the unification of Italy. Unfortunately, Kreshka was Milan, and he died.
Yeah, ironically, us allying Venice also played a huge role in stemming Ottoman-Austrian conflicts, because it was just weird, like who would Venice fight with? One of us would have to be fighting against Venice, so it was like kind of a strain. Never had an Ottoman-Austria war, even though we were all looking forward to it. Like, when's he gonna attack? When is he gonna attack?
Yeah. 200 years we played like a game. So at some point I attacked Prussia, but to attack Prussia I needed to buy some provinces from Poland. Still I didn't attack Austria just to keep Venice out of this war, which was Italy back then. Yeah, let's move to France, and we have Ogi playing France, and let's talk about 100 Years Wars and how it might change the future of Europe. We have players on Burgundy, France, and England and Scotland. And what I think is 100 Years War will end pretty soon, and we will see a powerhouse France dominating Europe. What do you guys think, Frozen?
I mean, things can go both ways. Depends on what Burgundy does, right?
Yes,
think?
Burgundy could play
And
an important
Aragon.
role as well.
So,
Yeah, it's like it's a mystery of how it will happen. Maybe we are just like speculating Aragon and Castile might fight, but if they unite, they could just like go after France and maybe unite with like some other people, and France might be in trouble. What do you say sideways when it's your region?
What do I say about what you just said there?
No, I mean you
I
don't need to
cannot
lie or-
comment on that because that would be giving away diplomatic strategies. But if that happened, it would be interesting.
Yeah,
What I
that's-
can say about France, though, is that France, from diplomacy, so far, he seems like he'll be very, how should I say, kind of a Napoleonic France. He'd have a lot of influence around Europe.
Yeah, we will see.
Right now, he's already exerting his influential pressure on me, so that's as much as I can say.
Yeah, Ogi will definitely do something interesting this session. You never had a chance to play with him, Twin, did you?
No, I never did. I heard of his stuff from Scotland last season, though. That's
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
legendary.
yeah, he was playing Scotland as an important player to watch in the region, and he killed England together with France and Burgundy, and then at some
Denmark
point
too, I
he-
think.
Yeah, Denmark too, and then he got a financer from Africa, which was Songhai, who gave him quite a lot of financial assistance, so that Scotland would build up a navy and challenge Burgundy. Scotland ruled over England maybe like 10 years before being pushed back and losing his country. But it was like, it was nice of him to try that.
And an interesting story between me and Augie is that I think 2 or 3 campaigns ago, Augie was playing Castile. He formed Spain, killing everyone in Iberia, as you do. So, I mean, no spoilers here. Joking. But I played Mutapa, and RZL played Songhai. And on Spain, Augie we were like so close together. Like Mutapa and Spain were allied. I would help him in Europe with my little spears and sticks, and he would help keep Songhai from killing me the entire game. So it was very interesting. So I'm kind of interested to see like what will happen between us throughout the game because of that. And plus RZL is on Austria too, so it's like this trio is once again close to each other.
Yeah, speaking of Austria, let's go to HRA and RZL. So RZL, who was playing France in that session, playing Austria as the emperor of HRA. And there are some rumors about him that he wants to make HRA strong again. But let's name the countries who are in the HRA playing this session. We have Münster, we have Cologne, we have Austria, we have Bohemia, we have Brandenburg, and we have Lubeck. And also we have several Italians in the empire. We will see whether they will leave or stay, but we might see expansion of the empire, which is my prediction. What do you guys think, starting with sideways?
Expansion of the empire.
Or the downfall of the empire, what do you say?
To be quite honest, RZL, based on how the maps are set up, RZL has everyone in Germany has pretty much free clearance to go through the entire central Germany to expand into it. So, and seeing that he's Austria, he has one of the best, I would say, positions to expand throughout central Germany. He could revoke any, what are they called, free cities at his whim. So that helps him expand a lot. But on the other hand, I think how big Austria gets will depend on his relations to the east. So whatever happens with Hungary or Bohemia or Poland, Ottomans, if he survives that, or if he has good relations with them, then I think he'll be able to unify the empire. Otherwise, it could come crashing down.
Yeah, because you were playing Austria, that's why I'm interested in your opinion. And you had a very tall Austria, and you were still very influential.
Yeah, but the difference between my Austria and RZL's Austria right now is when I played Austria, we also had a Bavaria and a few other Germans because Kreska hates me. So I had literally nowhere to expand except Salzburg. So I had to really like play it safe to do anything. But Ariel has a little bit of leeway to get some quick dev, and that could help him a lot, especially in Bavaria, which is like what 70 dev or something.
Yeah.
Yes. Frozen, what do you say?
I mean, also as Austria or the Emperor, rather, you can core anywhere you want in the HRE, so that's a big advantage, especially when it's like for the amount of players we have, it's not that crowded in the HRE, so that's gonna be nice for him. And I think secondly, whether the Shadow Kingdom happens might come down to how like threatened the Italians feel and what the diplomatic situation in Italy is like. If France does really well and starts eating into Savoy and stuff, maybe we'll see many Italian states stay in the HRE just for protection. Who knows?
Yeah. Twin, what do you say of HRA?
Especially curious about Bohemia and Hungary. If Austria is gonna ally them or try to PU them, that's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's a nice question actually. We will see it in the next. We will actually be talking about it after the session is over. What Austria did and how the empire did in general.
Yeah. The sad thing about PUs is that it's kind of like a bad alliance because suddenly your PU partner can't get that power projection anymore. So
Yeah.
That's also true.
Depends on what side you look at it from. From the side of
if you're the overlord, it's certainly nice.
actually, from both angles, it can be beneficial for both people because as a PE, you
Okay.
get no AE, so you can get your overlord to expand and absorb all the AE for you. And as the overlord, you have basically a lapdog who will follow into any war. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Which Sideways mentioned how empire will do is depends on his relation with its neighbors, and which is bring us to question what will Eastern Europe do. When it comes to Eastern Europe, we have actually a lot to talk about because it is the region where we have many players per capita. To talk about, we have Poland, we have Lithuania, we have Muscovy, we have Great Horde, we have Novgorod. Even though it's not in the region, we can talk about Sweden and Denmark as well in the region. It's going to be crowded, and we will see lots of intrigue, lots of player wars, some souls, and some military geniuses in the region. Or we might see a black hole which will like collapse all of them in one war. Death and destruction. So I'm playing in this region, and I say it's going to be definitely spectacular to see from afar, or to be in the region, because tensions are quite high. People need to expand, and it's crowded with people. What do you say, Frozen? Because we are playing Moscow.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be tense, that's for sure. I'm reluctant to say too much beyond that at this point.
Yeah, we even have Uzbekians who has their claims all over
Yeah,
Europe.
so many hordes, Russian
Yeah,
princes,
so many.
Lithuania, Poland.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of relations to balance.
yeah.
I think Poland has so much opportunity to expand here. Like he can go into Stolp, he can go into Wallachia, Stolp,
Stop the second
Wallachia.
time. Another time at my limit. Yeah. Yeah. What do you say, Uzbek? What do you say, Twin? How do you see Eastern Europe in chaos?
It's gonna be chaos, man, with the hordes. They want to do early wars, of course, to use it to their advantage, the unit types and so on. But it's definitely gonna be all-out war.
It's definitely going to be all out war. And the interesting part is Eastern Europe will definitely see lots of foreign intervention to bring stability and to unify the region. It's going to be quite interesting because we need to now talk about one of the one possible interventionist powers, Sweden and Denmark. We have a crazy Swede playing Sweden called Gandalf,
Yeah.
and from what I know, he has been working quite hard to make sure he is not to be joked with. He has been trying to insert his influence over the region, and he has Denmark, which we will see maybe an independence war, or maybe we will see them working together.
Yeah.
Which is I'm really interested to see how it's going to resolve, because if they fight and if they don't fight, it will definitely bring lots of possibilities for the players around them. To start with Frozen, What do you say about this?
Yeah, in the first Sunday Wars game I played, Gandalf was actually Muscovy, and he walked all the way down to Italy where I was playing Milan just to kill me in a war. And then died shortly thereafter, apparently, because he wasted all his manpower doing this. So he can do lots of crazy stuff. You never know with him. So we'll see. I think it's interesting. Sweden, Denmark, also Lübeck's gonna all be interested in the Baltic trade. Those ports, they're gonna be, I think, involved in whatever happens in Eastern Europe. So.
Yeah. When we talk about Gandalf, we have to talk about Sideways as well, because this crazy Swede once tricked Sideways to give up all of his African holdings to him in a war where he was actually losing quite hard.
This is propaganda spread by the communists in Poland. Okay.
I will definitely be giving some facts, hard-proven facts, to conclude this. But what
Division in every province of the south.
France is telling me that if Spain surrenders, I'm just going to leave the region.
Why doesn't he say that to me?
He's telling me.
Just look at Africa.
What happened?
What the fuck? What the fuck? How did you do that?
What? How did you do that?
I sent a demand to you and asked for a lot of African promises.
I accepted?
Yeah.
What do you say to win? How do you think Sweden will, or Denmark, Swedish-Danish relationship will affect the region?
Well, obviously they want to have the trade notes in the Baltic Sea that's owned by the Teutonic Order. So that might create some conflict with Poland and so on, that also want the region.
Yes.
Then there's also Novgorod, nice buffer zone between Muscovy. So we'll see what they're gonna do with that.
That is true. And now we have one more foreign interventionist power to talk about. Ottomans, who will be playing very important role in several regions of the game. He could try to insert his influence in Eastern Europe by maybe going against Hungary or Poland, Lithuania. He could try to go south against QQ or Memlux maybe, or maybe he allies one of the powers and just focuses on one side, which is, as we can all say, Ottomans are the strongest power in the game at this point of the game. And I am wondering how it will affect the game balance. What do you say, Sideways?
The Ottomans. No, I have not much to say about that, to be honest. The Ottomans shouldn't have that much of a problem. I don't think so. It's a pretty strong nation anyway. All he needs is one ally and he should be able to survive. As long as they actually, better way to put it is, as long as there's not a coalition against the Ottomans, he should be able to rise to power and pretty much kill everyone in the east.
Yeah. Did you mention who was playing the Ottomans?
Ottomans is played by Brendan, an old ally of Sideways and me, who used to play Venice and unified Italy.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the Ottomans is certainly a powerhouse. Some people say that you can, like, take out any one of your neighbors of the game in the early game if you so decide to. I'm not sure if they're that broken, but...
It is actually true, because I have had experience with it where Aragon, Hungary, Mamluks all decided to drop on me as Ottomans. And this was before I even took Constantinople, and I still won. So you have a really, really massive advantage as Ottomans in the start game.
Yeah.
Correct. Twin, do you have anything to add?
Well, it's gonna be interesting what the Mamelukes and the people surrounding the Ottomans are gonna do to limit his power. Whether they're gonna coalition him or ally him.
When I used to play Ottomans, one of my biggest concerns was being attacked by the East, so I basically fixed it quite early by allying Memluks, and and like till very late game, I had no problem people opposing me from the East and from the West because I was like just taking whatever I wanted. But let's talk about the Middle East, which we will be talking about now. We have Ajam, Karakoyunlu, we have Mamluks, we have Oman, and we have Rasids. And we have also Timurids and Transaxon Uzbek. So we all know Timurids have some problems to start with because their ruler will die or might not die early, but still die, and it will create a problem. Free real estate, all to take. So how do you guys think it will, what will happen in the region? Because we will see definitely some conflict. Players are just next to each other. Twin, this is your region. What do you want to say?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of tension between Uzbek and Timurids because they share the same culture group. Ajam as well. Timurids has cores on all of Ajam. Ajam is a player. He's probably not happy about that. Then there's the Karakan Yulu. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a player wars in the beginning. No doubt.
Yeah. We will see so many players dying early. Frozen, do you want to answer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty even situation down here. I think it's gonna come down to maybe player diplo, who gets the better alliances and the dice. Who
Sideways.
wins?
Kreshka and Faisal have an hilarious history together. Kreshka is on Oman and Faisal is on Rasids. They're sharing one tiny peninsula. In the past few games, there was one game, Kreshka was Venice, Faisal was Aragon. They made it their mission to kill each other. In pretty much every game before that, Kreshka and Faisal have fought against each other. So I'm interested to see if they'll keep up the theme or they'll finally work together to push out everyone else.
Yeah. Well, we need to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, the acting leader of the server. And there are like talks in Europe about how to crusade Oman, like how to bring those armies to Oman and start their opposition early on.
I actually know Kreshka's strategy, and I can leak it right now because everyone should know it. It's a tried and tested strategy by Kreshka that always works. First, what you do is you get 50 corruption. Then you fall behind in tech. You build 200 light ship and you pirate Europe. It's tried and tested.
I'm definitely like, it might not be like most crowded region, but it's definitely a region I'm looking into see like what's gonna happen. Faisal and Kreshka, and
Yeah.
Kreshka has some heat on his tooth.
But like Oman and Rasids have quite different ideas, right? Oman is pretty naval focused, while Rasids is more of a
Rasid
land
is
army.
Shia. It's Shia with kind of a land army focus, like you said. And it also has the Persian government. And Oman is, what is it called? The one that's not Shia or Sunni.
Ibadi.
Ibadi, yeah. It's Ibadi, and it's pretty much trade and navy focused.
Yes. So after Middle East, let's talk about Africa, and then we will be talking about India. So Africa, we have several players. We have Ethiopia, we have Kilwa, we have Butau, an interesting country. We have Songhai, and one more guy playing there as well. So I don't think we will see much conflict in Africa to start with because players are not that close to each other. They will be trying to consolidate power in the Southern Africa and Mid Africa. But we need to also talk about Northern Africa, where we have Morocco and Tunis. How do you guys think they will play a role in the coming session? Starting with Sideways, because it's also at some point, let's say you survive the game, you will be interacting with these players often. Or
why do you think I will go to Africa? Are you trying to be racist, Red?
No,
what's wrong with that? Do you think I was going to enslave people in Africa, Red? Come on, dude.
No, I'm
but,
just making this.
But as for Africa, well, first of all, Morocco, Songhai, and what's that bottom one called?
Tunis.
Congo.
You mean Tunis?
Congo.
Congo, yeah.
Yeah. So Morocco, Songhai, Congo, those three at the very least, will have how should I say, important diplomatic relations with Iberia in general, because they are pretty much the African countries that are closest to Portugal, Spain, Aragon, all of that. And however we work out relations, whether I don't know whether Songhai, Congo, Morocco, whether they can gain like alliances with Iberia, or they kill Iberia, or they fight against Iberia. I think a lot of the African politics will revolve around that region. Tunis, I don't think it will have that big of an impact on Iberia because he can go towards Mamluks and stuff, and he doesn't really need to affect Iberia much, and we don't need to affect him much, but he could have like a small part to play. His trade node mostly goes towards Genoa, so Italians might more go towards him than Iberians anyway.
Definitely. What do you say, Twin?
Yeah, I agree. Tunis can go to the Mamluks. I don't think it will affect the Iberians too much in the early game. It's going to be interesting to see what the colonizers are going to do with the Africans. Are they going to cooperate? Are they going to get colonized? Like the Dutch?
That is correct. We will see. We will see. In the last game, we had a very strong Songhai player. Was it Mali? So it was Mali, who actually controlled much of Africa and started to finance wars in Europe. It was Don't It Daddy who gave lots of money to Ogi, so Ogi could build up a navy and challenge the Burgundians and French, and it actually worked pretty well for some time. I'm interested like in how this region will develop itself and maybe stand against Europeans, or maybe just die within. What do you say, Frozen?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I think the Mali area is potentially strong. Well, like, or Songhai, that entire place. In North Africa, like, they have the raiding thing, which annoys everyone in the Mediterranean so much. They're just bound to either be very poor or have lots of enemies. I would choose the latter one personally, I think. But I just don't see North African nations do very often. I once saw like a Morocco take over southern Spain, but he got coalitioned and killed eventually pretty fast. So maybe this time.
Andalusia really strong last campaign though.
I didn't play last campaign, so maybe.
Al-Andalus actually challenged France on several occasions and killed Aragon quite fast.
He took over, like, did he have like still all of Iberia?
Half of it.
Half of it.
Wow, that's
actually
cool.
Played pretty well.
Was it Morocco?
Morocco worked with Aragon for some time. He got some provinces to form Al-Andalus, and then he started an offensive against Aragon while France was busy. And before France even reached Iberia, they secured all the mountain forts by storming them. And when Ottomans came to Iberia, France was just like, okay, I'm piecing out. This is a lost cause.
With Aragon.
Yeah, with Aragon. And Aragon just like died to Al-Andalus. It took some, like, it was Reconquista, and then France started Reconquista.
Reconquista.
Yeah, Reconquista. It took some time to stabilize the region. Then let's talk about India now. Of course, we have to talk about India when we talk about colonization and raiding. We have 7 players in India, actually 8 if you conclude Nepal as well.
Wow.
We have players on Bengal, Jampur, Nepal, Bengal, yes, and Bahmanis and Vijayanagar. It's going to be an interesting session, and it's going to be an interesting development in the game, and Malwa, of course, because they have to kill each other to grow. And as we can all say, India is too big for 7 nations. I never played in the region in a multiplayer game, so I don't have much to say. But Twin, you played last session in India, and you made a federation in India by 2 states. What do you say of India? How do you think politics will resolve here?
I think the most important power dynamic is between Bamanis and Vijayanagar. Those are the 2 main states in India. They're the 2 strongest ones. Highest force limit, highest income. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they're going to try to ally and kill the other Indians, or whether they're going to fight each other and ruin each other from the start. Then you have Delhi and Jampur. It's going to be interesting what Delhi is going to do with or against the Timurids. Are they going to tuck up to the Timurids? Are they going to help each other? And yeah. It's going to be a Thunderdome.
You played once Persia, and you were actually quite involved in Indian politics.
Please don't remind me. Please don't remind me. That was dark times for me. That was very dark times. Okay. Wasn't Frozen playing around the region when I played Persia then?
Yeah, I was Malacca.
Yeah, so you know it was very dark times indeed for Persia. When I played Persia then, there were 4 GPs in Asia, 2 in India, 1 in Indonesia, 1 in Malacca, and guess who decides to all join up against Persia? It was dark times.
Yeah. Actually, this Jampur player is the same as in that game. He was playing Jampur in that game as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
He got instantly ganked by 2 neighbors and lost like almost all of his dev, and then Sideways allied him. And in one war, he managed to retake everything.
I brought him back to life. He betrayed me and actively made it his mission.
Hey, you were the one that broke the alliance and allied
I
his
didn't
enemies.
break it. He broke it. I sent it back.
Yeah, let's not switch all those guys. But for players to catch, we have Lonek Lol playing Jump Power. I will be watching him closely. He knows him by the way. And then we have Sindri on Vijayanagar. I believe, yeah, on Vijayanagar. And he's also a decent player. I will see how they do and how they end up. I'm interested in this region as well.
Yeah, my impression is that both Sindri and Lolmek actually play in India a lot. At least Lolmek does all the time.
Yeah.
Last time Sindri played in India, he started to do it really well. I think he started as Vijaya and formed Bharat, and he basically conquered through half of India. Then he got the coalition of AI and died to AI. So it will be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah. That will be interesting. And now that we concluded India, let's talk about Asia, which is, as you guys could see from the map, we have some new states popping up. In our games, we don't use a mods in SVU, in SW, but we divide Ming into several states and give it to players. So because we have high applications, people want to play, and we have to create new states for them to play. We have Bali, we have Ayutthaya, Brunei, Malacca.
Before you
Tondo.
continue,
It's not the time. It's not the time.
No, as an admin, I just want to make a point that in the next campaign or following campaigns, it's possible, there is a possibility that Ming will no longer be split into be actually playable by a player. So
Yeah, that could be the case. But for this campaign, we have several players, and we have Korea, Jianzhou, and some players in Japan. 2 players actually, Osakawa and yeah. And I think okay. So what we do is we give players who start in India, who start in Asia, 300 ducats and 18k manpower, so they have some chance to expand and they can develop their own strategies in game. But what I'm really interested is that we had so many players who played Manchu and united Manchu tribes to form Qing, and they dominated politics of the game for some certain time. Like 2 campaigns ago, I believe it was 3 campaigns ago, we had Tracker, who conquered all of Russia from China to Russia, and he was very influential in European politics. And now we had Lenat, who also was quite influential, and then Faisal died in the end, anyways. But what do you guys think will happen in Asia? Will we see another Qing rising to power without opposition? And who do you think will control Spice Islands? The Frozen?
See, do I know any players in China? Naiba and Riki, I guess. I know. I expect Jiangsu to be coalitioned. I think they'll want him dead. I'm sure they'll want each other dead as well. Everyone wants as much as they can of China, and there's going to be a sort of a civil war, I think. But I don't think they're going to let Manchu expand so much, because I think we all have PTSD from all the previous Qings.
Yeah.
At least I hope they won't. That's Russia.
When you were playing in India in the last campaign, 6th campaign, and you actually fought against Qing, what do you say? How do you think Asian politics will develop, and how it will affect other people, other players around it?
Well, as our goal in India, we really wanted to avoid King getting to the age of absolutism, so he would get his extra banners. So that's an interesting mechanic to be aware of. Don't let them get to the age of absolutism, because they will be almost unstoppable. As for Asia, it's going to be interesting what Korea and Jiangsu are going to do. Are they going to ally, or are they going to kill each other? Being
That's
that they
correct.
border. Darn.
Sideways, what do you say? You had a personal experience against Qing where you were playing Russia and you guys were fighting with Jing, I believe. You were Russia and there was a Jing player, Lenat, and it was like 100 years war.
This was in a different host, I believe, not Sunday Wars. The only experience I have with fighting Qing in Sunday Wars is when I played this in England, and Prussia, England were fighting against Qing, Persia, and some other country, Hindustan. But as for the Russia-Qing war, the problem with Qing is that banners cost no manpower. And as Leonard did in the host where he played Qing, he showed that even if you don't culture convert land in China, even if you don't go through China and core the land, culture convert it, you can still bring Qing to a point where you have more banners available than you have force limit. So he could build way over his force limit with purely banners and just keep throwing them at me. And he had, I think, 200,000 troops, which are all banners. And I have 200 to 300,000 troops, or 250 to 300,000 troops as Russia. But the difference is, while I am walking through the steps, it's really slow for me. And the attrition there is hell. It's just terrible. So by the time I reach to Qing and we start fighting, well, by the time I finish sieging forts there and we even start to fight, my manpower is gone, but his is full. And even though his troop quality isn't necessarily better than Russia or any other country, the fact that he uses no manpower at all, and he can have more banners than you can have mercs, it makes it a real problem fighting against Qing.
Yeah, Qing is like I hope developers could watch this at some point and fix this issue. Infinite manpower is not something we are very fond of, and
it's not even necessarily the fact of infinite manpower. It's just also the fact that you could have, like, mercs are somewhat restricted in the fact that if you have 500,000 force limit, you maybe have 200,000 mercs if you do stuff right, something like that. But Qing can have 500,000 banners if he sets up right. So he can have 500 force limit to 500 banners or 600 banners, depending how he sets up.
Yes, I'm just curious about what we will see because we had some strong Qing players dominating the game at several occasions. And now we have one region left and not much to talk about. We have Aztecs, who is the only nation in America. I believe he will be playing single player for the first 50 years till Europeans arrive. And I believe because he's alone, we will see conflict in the region with Europeans if they get there first and if they don't lose time. We had one funny story to talk about actually. When I was playing Ottomans 2 sessions ago, all colonizers died. England died to Mamluks. It was a funny story, which we will not discuss here. But Iberians also died to each other, and they were lacking money to start colonization. So colonization spawned in Italy at that game. It was really funny. I think Frozen. What do you say about Aztecs and how they will do?
I mean, it's if the Europeans play too slowly and give away their institutions, and Aztecs maybe get some European allies as well, then they have a chance. But if I think if Europeans are a bit careful, then Aztecs should probably die.
The only thing I can say about Aztecs is that Chick better have my money. Either Aztecs pays his tributes or he will experience doom.
Yeah, it will be interesting. So, Twin, what do you say? How do you think Aztecs will affect the game? Because from my experiences, I saw two influential American players dominating the game. The one game was when I was playing Portugal. Vladolf and Kreshka dominated the game. They divided America into two, and then there was again Tracker, who took from Caramello, who's playing England right now, and that game Incas. Well, they were quite strong as well, playing and dominating and financing wars in Europe. How do you think this game will change from American perspective?
First of all, I think there's also an Iroquois player, right? At least I saw that in the
Yeah.
sign
Yeah.
up channel.
Yeah, there is.
Where is Iroquois actually? I don't even know.
It's North America somewhere.
Northeast America,
Northeast
where Certain
America.
Colony is. It's kind of.
Oh, over there. Yeah. Well, last session or season, there was a France player that tried to conquer the Aztecs, and it didn't go quite as well as he would have wanted. Maybe the Aztecs
Yeah.
can repeat that.
The
Yeah.
Aztec religion is pretty strong when you reform it, though, isn't it? Like,
This you get institutions instantly.
yeah, and
Well,
you get like a bunch of bonuses.
that is actually quite dangerous. When I was playing Portugal sideways was England, and he was offered money to protect Americans, and he was like just blinking at me, just kill them, dude, like kill Vladoslavin Kreshka. And then I was like, I was away. I had Lolmec playing for me, and they actually stack wiped Kreshka and Vladov, and they just like gave up. But at some point, a conflict started between France and Iberia, and we lost all our progress, and I became de facto vassal of Americans at the end. Thanks, Kreshka. Yeah, I think this is all we could talk about politics per session game. And thank you for guys keeping up with us. And we will be continuing our podcast in the next session. We will be talking about actual politics when we actually play the game this Saturday, this Sunday, and we will be showing conflicts. We will be showing death count, and we will see an increasing death count over the years. If you have any questions, please drop it as comments. And thank you for listening us. Do you guys want to add anything?
Well, only thing I want to add is that let's see how many admins die in the first session.
Yeah, that's actually quite good. And I want to make an announcement here. As our glorious admin just announced, we are going to be giving money to players who score top 5. The first player will get 30 euros. The second will get 15. The third player will get 10. The fourth player will get 5. And the fifth player will get €5 each. So if you guys want to make sure you get some nice bonuses, some nice actual money, make sure you get victory cards and do some backstream intrigue. And if you also score in top 5, you will have your name mentioned in IPP Chronicles. And there is one more IPP Chronicle news I want to share. If you are the person who kills Kreshka before anyone does, you will have your gold IPP journal just dedicated for your name. Please don't kill. We need him like in the long run.
The person who kills Kreshka, I will make my mission to kill them and then revive our Lord and Savior Kreshka.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you show again where is Oman is like so Europeans can actually see where they are going to crusade? Yeah, Oman is right there.
Okay.
Oman is
I got to Oman.
Yeah, thank you for keeping with us, guys. We hope to see you in the next one.